Andy.
Andy, ready? Okay. Oops. Oh, yeah. Green light's on.
Okay. Good evening, and welcome to the Candidates Forum. I'm Janet Ingram. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Cass County. This meeting tonight is being sponsored by the League, by the Logansport Cass County Chamber, Mid-America Radio, and the Faros Tribune. We are happy that you could all be with us this evening, but we also welcome our radio listeners and those streaming. I think I need to explain a little bit about League. We are a nonpartisan organization that never, ever supports individual candidates. We are interested in issues and educating the public as well as ourselves. We have been around for 95 years. We began in 1920 when women got the vote. As I said, we really think it's important that all citizens understand who they're voting for and what that candidate stands for. Thus, that's the purpose of our program this evening. At this time, I need to let you know that League, the name is somewhat misleading because we do have men members. Anyone who's a citizen and 18 years of age can join League, so sign up. We'd be glad to have you. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator for this evening, Elizabeth Billman. She, in turn, will introduce the candidates and the panelists and ask and monitor all proceedings this evening. Liz?
I also would like to thank those of you in attendance and the listeners and the viewers on Channel 18. You are showing that you have an interest in local government. And even though the candidates can't hear me just now, I do want to thank them for taking time to come and share their ideas for Logansport. The general election is November the 3rd. Voter registration has already ended. Monday, October 26th is the last day to request an absentee ballot by mail. Monday, November 2nd at noon is the last day to request a ballot for the traveling board to come to your residence. Absentee voting in the courthouse begins this coming Monday, October 19th, and it runs all the way until noon on November 2nd. That's Monday through Friday. The courthouse will also be open Saturday, October 24th and October 31st from 9 to noon, especially for people who wish to vote. It will also be open Monday, November 2nd from 9 to noon for voting. Voting places are the Logansport Mall and the Senior Citizen Center. Those vote centers will be open starting October 29th, 30th, 31st. Their hours are a little bit different. Those voter centers' hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The voting center out in Royal Center will be open only on Election Day. All three vote centers, that would be the courthouse, the mall, the Senior Citizen Center, will be open Election Day, November 3, from 6 until 6. Now, as a little background information for you people in the audience, the candidates are off stage back in the green room. They can see all of us, but they cannot hear what is being said. The audio has been turned off so that everybody hears the question for the first time when they're here on stage. I ask that all of you be courteous, good members of the audience. I also ask that you please turn off your cell phones and put them away. At this time, I would like to introduce our panelists. To my far right is Bill Cuppy, representing the Chamber of Commerce. Next to him is Michelle Dials, representing Mid-America Radio and Cass County Communication Network. And sitting next to her is Misty Nisley, representing the Faros Tribune newspaper. And I think you've already been told that they are video recording this. Down in front, the League has timers. Pam McKinney. You people in the audience cannot see them, but there are two small boxes there that have green lights, blue lights, red lights, and we'll be using those to try to let the candidates know when their time is about to end. Our order of appearance tonight, we will begin with the Clerk-Treasurer. We will move on to the council by wards, and then the council at large. We will finish the evening with the contest for mayor. There are stringent time restrictions, 1 minute opening remarks for all candidates, 1 minute closing remarks, 1 minute to answer the question, except the candidates for mayor, who are going to get 2 minutes for answers. You may have surmised that their questions will be a little bit more involved. All right, at this time, we are ready to begin with the Clerk-Treasurer. Remember, you can start voting early on Monday if that is your preference. Our candidates for Clerk-Treasurer are Carol Sue Hayworth and Stacy Cox. And at this time, I'm going to ask Mrs. Hayworth to do her opening remarks.
Good evening. I'm Carol Sue Hayworth. I'm married to Jim. We have 2 sons, Jimmy Hayworth and Brett Bowman, and a daughter-in-law, Misty. I've lived in Cass County since 1957, moving to the city of Logansport 17 years ago. I'm a graduate of Lewis Cass High School and Indiana Business College. My work experiences include 8 years at the Cass County Auditor's Office, 2 years as Secretary to the Judge of Cass Superior Court 1. I was with Markley Abstract for 30 years, and I served as the loan officer at Beacon Credit Union for 5 years. Since 2012, I've been your Clerk-Treasurer, and I am now again asking your support in the coming election on November the 3rd.
Mrs. Cox, your opening remarks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stacy Cox. I grew up in Logansport, and I'm proud to be raising my 5-year-old daughter here in this great community. I graduated from Logansport High School. Then I went to Butler University, where I earned a bachelor's degree in accounting. Later, I went to Indiana University, where I received a master's degree in business administration. I have 15 years accounting experience. I am currently the Assistant Controller at Bonavista Programs in Kokomo, where I manage the business office and assist the CFO with the accounting and reporting for the agency. I supervise the accounting staff responsible for payroll, billing, accounts receivable, and accounts payable. Prior to that, I worked in accounting in the healthcare industry, and before that, I owned and operated my own insurance agency here in Logansport. This education and knowledge makes me well suited for the Clerk-Treasurer's position. Thank you.
All right, we're going to begin our questions, and Mr. Cuppy will have the first question. It will be directed to Carol Sue, and I'm going to ask that you pull that microphone up really close so that everyone can hear you. Thank you. I don't think so. Yeah, we have a mic problem here for Mr. Cuppy.
Is it working now? Thank you.
Okay.
What do you think is the ideal relationship among the Clerk-Treasurer's office, the mayor, and the city council?
All 3 of the departments operate independently. The mayor's office has his job to do, and the Clerk-Treasurer has her job to do. In essence, then, anything that happens has to go before the council. So all 3 of us have to work together to make the government system work.
Okay. Mrs. Cox, same question.
Okay. Under my leadership, I believe that the mayor's office, the city council, and the Clerk-Treasurer's office should also work independently. I believe in good working relationships. As the Clerk-Treasurer, I would be responsible for providing accurate and timely financial reports to the mayor and the council to allow them to make good financial decisions with the citizens' money. I believe in cooperation, but also working independently with our own ideas and following the regulations that are laid out by Indiana state law.
Okay, Mrs. Dials will be asking the next question, and it will be directed to Stacy Cox.
In your opinion, what is the ideal relationship between the Clerk-Treasurer's, I'm sorry, I knew I'd do that. How would you define accountability and the role of Clerk-Treasurer?
I would define accountability by doing what's right with the citizens' money, always focusing on doing what's right financially for the city and providing the information to the residents at any time. Transparency is important in accountability. There should never be a time where the public cannot see any documentation or financial reports. After all, it's their tax money that we're using. I believe that accountability is easy when you are governed like this office is. We go through annual audits to hold us accountable. Those reports are made public for the community to see, as well as any meeting minutes. Annual reports and budgets are all available for the citizens. So I think that that would allow good accountability with local government.
Okay, Mrs. Hayworth, same question.
Would you repeat the question, please?
Yes, Michelle, would you do that, please?
How would you define accountability in the role of Clerk-Treasurer?
I think the role as Clerk-Treasurer is to have transparency, and our records are always on file. We have an open door policy in our office today. We're supposed to be good stewards of the revenues that we have, good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. We should be on the job daily. We should be wise in the investments that we made, and above all, we should be honest in all of the work that we do in the Clerk-Treasurer's office. We do abide by all of the laws. We have a responsibility to the State Board of Accounts, and it's a tremendous job.
Misty Nisley will be asking the next question, and it will be directed to Carol Sue Hayworth.
Transparency is vital in government. What would you do as an office holder to ensure the public's right to know is upheld?
In our office, requests are made for documents that have to be researched. So those documents, we have to go through and maybe add other things to them that pertain to what they're asking for. Those documents help to, and they're on file in our office, those documents help to bring the transparency to go ahead with the transparency that's needed in my office. We have an open door policy. You can come and request those documents at any point in time. We're transparent in all of the things we do. The State Board of Accounts has audited us, and we are in compliance with all things.
Okay. Thank you. Stacy Cox, same question.
Could you repeat the question?
Transparency is vital in government. What would you do as an office holder to ensure the public's right to know is upheld?
Like I just mentioned, transparency is important, and I will take that responsibility very well. I believe that this is a public servant position, and I believe in excellent customer service. I also have an open door policy with my current staff. They know they can come and ask any questions. I would do the same for the citizens of Logansport. I think that anyone has a right to know, so they can call or come to the office and request any information. I would also advise them that they can also access those records online through the gateway system. I think that that will speed up the process. You wouldn't have to do a public records request and have to wait up to 90 days to receive your document with like the current administration. So I believe transparency is very important.
Okay, time is up. Okay. Mrs. Hayworth got to do opening remarks first, so we're going to ask Mrs. Cox to do closing remarks first.
Okay. I believe the Clerk-Treasurer's role should not be about political designation. It should focus on doing what's right financially for the city of Logansport. The Clerk-Treasurer is essentially the accountant for the city. I am very comfortable with that task. I do it professionally every day. My education and expertise would save the city thousands of dollars by eliminating the need for expensive consultants to do the financial work that I'm skilled to do. I am a firm believer in transparency, as we've mentioned. I will take that role very seriously and make it a priority to get your records to you as quickly as you can. Under my leadership, the Clerk-Treasurer's office will absolutely work independently from the mayor and the Clerk-Treasurer as it's designed to be. That will maintain the system of checks and balances that's required for accuracy and accountability. I am asking for your vote in this election.
Mrs. Hayworth, your closing remarks.
For over 50 years, I've been involved in this community in many forms. I have a strong background in government service, business, and finance. My experiences and training are clearly evident based on my life history. I have lived and worked my whole life with humility, honesty, and hard work ethics. This I bring to the job daily. This position is for the experienced and the committed. Please consider me as your choice for the Clerk-Treasurer of the City of Logansport for 2016. And a big thank you to those that have put this program together for us this evening.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the questions for Clerk-Treasurer. So if you want to go on off that way. Next up will be the candidates for Ward 1. Remember, you may vote at the Logansport Mall or at the 6th Street Senior Center starting October 29th, 30th, and 31st from 10 in the morning until 7. Candidates for Ward 1 City Council are Bob Bishop and Dave Morris. Mr. Copy will begin with the first question.
Open.
I'm sorry, I read right over my own. Yes, thank you. Mr. Bishop, would you begin with opening remarks?
Sure, I'd love to.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to thank, when he gets done, first I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters, the Chamber of Commerce, Mid-America Radio, Ferris Tribune for giving us the opportunity to give our views tonight on Logansport's future for the next 4 years and beyond. Good evening to everyone in the audience and also the people that are listening on the radio and TV tonight. My name's Bob Bishop. I currently represent the 1st Ward on the Logansport City Council. I'm chairman of the City Council Parks Committee. I served as the president of the Logansport Building Corporation for 3 years. I served on the executive board of the Logansport Economic Development Organization and also the CLEDO also. I served on the Logansport Redevelopment Commission for 18 months as its president and currently for the last 22 months as its executive director. I fought hard to eliminate the trash tax, which saved every ratepayer $160 a year. I also asked for and received an increase in the streets and sidewalk budget, which we've over doubled in the 2016 budget. Okay. I asked for your vote on November 3rd. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Morris, your opening remarks.
Yes, good evening. I won't go through the list, but I will also thank all the people Bob did. I'm running as a Democrat for the 1st Ward. Some goals that I have as the 1st Ward councilman are to reestablish mutual respect and cooperation between the city and the county governments. I would like to reunify our economic development to include the city, the county, and the CLEDO organization. And if these goals can be accomplished, I would like to create a valid plan for our electric generation and supply, which would reduce our rates, would boost our attractiveness to investors and companies seeking to expand, thus creating much-needed jobs here in Logansport and Cass County. Thoroughly review our city's budget spending and use of consultants. City Council recently passed its 4th straight negative budget. The 2016 budget has a negative $1.3 million.
Mr. Morris, your time is up.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll go back to Mr. Cuppy, and the first question directed to Mr. Bishop.
What changes specific to your ward would you like to make in the next 4 years?
I would just like to continue on what we're doing. One change I just mentioned was increasing the streets and sidewalk budgets. Before this 2016 budget started, I went to the mayor and asked for him to at least double the budget for streets and sidewalks. As everyone knows, across the state, all cities have problems with their streets and sidewalks. Not enough money goes into them. So I asked for it, and we have actually more than doubled the budget for the 2016 budget for streets and sidewalks. So I feel like that's very important because I believe that we should work on the infrastructure first, and then after that, what money's left over can go to other things such as, the other essential services.
Okay, Mr. Morris, same question.
Yes, I would definitely like to see improvements made in the First Ward. I actually drove around the First Ward several times. I've been out walking. I've been trying to determine actually what's been going on in the First Ward in the last 3 or 4 years. And quite honestly, I haven't seen much being done. I'm concerned about the old factory locations over there. You've got the old Trelleborg location. It needs to be maintained until they can properly clean that site up so that the residents of that area can enjoy living in the area. Then we've got the old battery factory. I know there's issues with it, but these are major concerns. And quite honestly, Bob did say infrastructure, probably more residential areas over there without, there's no curbing. Those areas are just not kept up like the rest of the city of Logansport.
Okay, your time is up. And for those of you in the audience who may wonder, we have 2 light boards down here with red and green lights, so that's how we're keeping track. Mrs. Dials, you have the next question, and it will be directed to Mr. Morris.
And it's a long question. The City Council holds committee meetings to discuss items before they're placed on the agenda for the regular monthly City Council meetings, which often means there's little discussion during the regular meeting before the vote is taken. This can lead to a perception that things are being rubber stamped or that the council already has the votes it needs before the meeting takes place. What steps can be taken to assure the public that their input is valued?
Well, that's a real good question because I've spent probably more time than I'd like to admit sitting in different meetings in the last year. A lot of them were committee meetings, a lot of them were council meetings, and I felt like there was a lack of information supplied, even sometimes at committee meetings. It would seem that decisions were made before they were even discussed in the committee. I believe it's important for people to be able to understand why the decisions that are made are being made. And quite honestly, many times, even after sitting through meetings, I didn't know why they came to the decision they did. That's not to say they didn't make good decisions. Good decisions and bad decisions were maybe made, but you had no reasoning behind what they did. And we need to know, more than anything, we need to know why they're making the decisions. And I would just piggyback and say the power plant's a great example of that. I don't think there's enough information out there for the public.
Okay, Mr. Bishop, same question.
Yeah, we have a lot of committee meetings, and all the committee meetings are actually published in the newspaper. They have to be published 48 hours in advance of the meeting, so you can always get that information from the paper. I also tried, when I ran for election the first time around, I asked for people to sign up. I've worked hard to try to get my information out, my cell phone's published, my email, started a Facebook deal. So I would really like for more people to sign up to that. If they did, I would write an email letter once a month and let people know more details of what's going on. But what you find out, we do not have very many people that communicate with us. If we did, we could do our job as representatives a lot better if people would actually communicate with us. So that's the main thing. If you just get a hold of us, ask us questions, we'll answer your questions.
Your time is up. Misty Nisley will be asking the next question. It will be directed to Mr. Bishop.
Over the past couple of years, the structure of our economic development organization has changed in this community. What is your vision, if elected to City Council, as the optimal economic development structure to both retain and enhance our current businesses and to attract new businesses to our community?
Well, I've served on both LEDF and CLEDO since I was elected as councilman. The city council elected me to that position to represent them on those two organizations. I served there until just within the last year, that the CLEDO organization actually changed their bylaws, which wrote the city and county out of that organization. So we no longer have that seat. The county first left. The county hired their own economic development director. We are now hiring our own economic development director. We have actually formed the Department of Economic Development. I hope to, at some point, as soon as we can, I'd like to get back together with the county and work together with the county between our two economic development directors.
Mr. Morris, same question.
Well, like I said in my opening remarks, I believe that we need to look at economic development as a community. And as a community, that means our city, our county, and our private sector businesses all need to be working together. The CLEDO organization needs to kind of be the hub for these. We cannot expect to draw in business into our community when, quite honestly, a lot of times they're going to have to deal with separate economic development people for separate issues. We have to show the outside establishment, the rest of the state of Indiana, that we work together as a community. Most communities around us are actually working in groups of counties at this time, and here we are. We've got 3 little separate groups working on it, so that's just not going to work.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cuppy will ask the next question, and it will be directed to Mr. Morris.
In today's world, individuals can easily log into their bank accounts and check their current balances. Are similar tools available, or what type of research would you do to find out how much money is in the city budget accounts to make sure that the council is making fiscally responsible decisions when it comes to appropriating money?
Well, I'll tell you offhand, I'm not a techie, so I wouldn't have a techie answer for that. But we need to be able to have access to the city's finances. I've done a lot of research on the budget because the budget does concern me, and I believe the city's spending is somewhat out of control. The 4 budgets that have been put together are creating a situation where, quite honestly, in my opinion, by next year we could possibly be in a position where our general fund doesn't have enough money to pay its bills because of the timing between the payments from the state and the money we're paying out. I believe that it's the taxpayers' right. We work for you. It's your city. It's not ours. It's your city. So anything that we do, you should be able to walk in or click in and be able to look at how the city's doing financially.
Mr. Bishop, same question.
Of course, anyone can ask for records from the Clerk-Treasurer about the budget. You can do that at any time. I actually went back and did my own research on the budget as far as surpluses go, because we have that question that we're spending down the surpluses. And so I had that concern myself. So I did my own little study. I went back to 2010. And yes, we are spending our revenues, but our surpluses have not went down in any significant amount since 2010. So that's a little bit of misconception that we are actually going broke. We're in no way broke. We have more than enough money to operate the city. And we hired financial consultants back about a year after we became in office, and we found that we had cut the taxes, and by doing that, we weren't getting the taxes back to the citizens. So I gotta stop there.
Time, yes. Next question will be asked by Michelle Dials, and it will be directed to Bob Bishop.
There's been ongoing effort to consolidate the city's TIF districts, excluding the downtown redevelopment TIF district. The effort looks to put collections from all economic development TIF districts into one pot of money that could be used outside of the district in which it was collected. How should the city handle TIF districts and their possible consolidation?
Well, as I said earlier, I have been on the redevelopment commission since middle of 2012 as both the president and now the director. I also was involved in the expansion and consolidation of the TIF district. For one thing, the downtown is a redevelopment district, and the rest of them are economic development districts, so they cannot be combined. You may hear that we're trying to take money from downtown. You cannot do that. So, but the rest of them have been combined, except for the industrial park, because it's not attached. It's on its own, so you can't take money out of the industrial park either and take it anywhere else. So that's why we're spending about $1 million now building a new spec building out in that park. But the idea behind consolidating the TIF districts is if you consolidate them, if you have to borrow money in one district because you do not have all the funds, but you have the money, but it's in another district, now we do not have to borrow money. So we can have money in one spot and it can flow to where it needs to be done so we can do its economic development. It's a great economic development tool. Thank you.
Mr. Morris, same question.
Well, I would kind of liken the TIF districts in a simplistic fashion to basically what our property taxes are in general. If you look at the investments in the city of Logansport, if you look at the ward that we represent, property tax money is put into funds and designated out as the council and the mayor see fit. I would be biased enough to say that the first ward gets neglected a lot of times when that money's passed out and used for different things within the districts. I would liken to believe that the same thing without even thought would possibly happen in those TIF districts. There seems to be a concentrated effort to push everything to the east end, and I think it's time to just go back and take a good look at what the city already envelops and bring it back up to speed before we start trying to reach out and go in other directions.
Mr. Bishop did his opening remarks first, so we're going to ask Mr. Morris to do his closing remarks first.
Okay. Again, I thank everyone for the opportunity to come here this evening and speak to you. I'm honored to be running for the First Ward City Council position. I believe in Logansport. I believe in the people that live here. I've lived here all my life. I believe if we change together, our community will strive, it will prosper, but we must all get involved, not just the people running for election. It starts by voting and then accepting the outcomes and then moving forward together as a city. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Mr. Bishop.
Thank you. I'm very proud of my accomplishments as a representative of Ward 1. I've taken every call I've received and I've followed through on every call. By working with this administration on a common goal of creation of economic development and jobs, together we have the largest economic development growth in Logansport's 177-year history. That being said, it takes more than 4 years to finish over $700 million in development. I ask for another 4 years to follow through on the economic development that has already begun. It's sad to say that there's been a lot of negativity by just a handful of people in this city over the last 4 years, not Dave. That small group has been against every successful project and destroyed other promising projects. I have chosen to ignore the negative and focus on the positive. I ask that this community join me in ignoring the few and joining the many in rejecting this negativity. Vote for positive growth and jobs in Logansport. My name is Bob Bishop. I ask for your vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
This does conclude the question and answering for Ward 1. Thank you, gentlemen. And next up, we will have Ward 2. Reminder, you can start absentee voting this coming Monday, October 19th, down at the courthouse from 9 until 4. Candidates for Ward 2 are Joseph Buck, William Bentley, and Larry Hood. We will begin with 1-minute opening remarks. Mr. Buck, you may go first.
Okay, I'm Joe Buck, current Ward 2 City Councilman running for re-election. A 10-year Navy Vietnam veteran, a 41-year resident of Logansport, married to Barbara for 44 years, 4 children and 9 grandchildren. Member of Crosswind United Methodist, where I'm active with the Boy Scouts, Troop 200, Pack 3200. Upward Soccer Volunteer, Kids Hope Mentor at Fairview Elementary. Also summer sack lunch program. I'm a board member with the Mental Health America of Cass County. My first 3.5 years have been very busy working with the mayor and council to equip police and fire to do their jobs safely while providing service to the citizens and school resource officers to schools. Power solution for all, pool ready for summer, Max 5, Dairy Queen, quality die set, Transco, and more to come. I'm Joe Buck and ask for your vote on November 3rd.
Thank you. Mr. Bentley, would you give us your opening remarks?
Hi, I'm William Bentley. I'm 76 years old. I'm a Korean veteran. I served 9 years, 4 months, and 10 days in the service. And I was a communications specialist, so also part of the Germany buildup. I'm a master mason, a past master of Noblesville Lodge number 57, former member of the Hamilton County J.C.'s. My wife is deceased. I'm in a relationship with Betty Campbell. I have 3 children. My youngest is also deceased. I've spent 5 years on the Reserve Police Department in Noblesville, and I've also helped form a search and rescue explorer outfit. It was basically sponsored through the military, and I'm also a retired maintenance, electrical and mechanical maintenance man.
Okay, Mr. Bentley, your time is up. Mr. Hood, your opening remarks.
Hi, I'm Larry Hood. I was born and raised in Logansport. I've worked for the Indiana State Police for 27 years as a truck inspector, or a motor carrier inspector. I'm married to my wife, Lisa Marlotte. We have a daughter, Mariah. She's 22, and she goes to IUK at Kokomo. I have worked during my time living in Logansport prior to the state police. I worked at 3D Department Store. I worked for the Elks. I worked for Cole Hardwood. Then I moved away, started working with the state police. Me and my wife, a few years ago, did Operation Assist out at the mall during the holiday season. And I got a great deal of pride in Logansport. We've been in Bluffton, Wabash, Logansport.
Okay, your time is up. And we are now ready for questions. Mr. Copy will ask the first question, and it will be directed to Mr. Buck.
Mr. Buck, what changes specific to your ward would you like to make in the next 4 years?
I would like to see communications improve. I've had several people ask about the communication. I have not seen them at city council meetings. I have not seen them at committee meetings or anything else. If we could open that communication line, my brochures have all my numbers. My number's been in the phone book for 41 years, and I'm not hiding. So give me a call. Let me know what you want. We need to continue with the upgrades of the streets and sidewalks, and we've done that in the 2016 budget. It's almost tripled.
Mr. Bentley, same question.
Sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Yes.
Yes, we could.
What changes specific to your ward would you like to make in the next 4 years?
Well, I'd like to see tornado siren installed on Main Street Fire Station. The last storm we had, when it went off, the closest one to us is on 18th Street, and you could barely hear it. In fact, I had to go outside to even catch part of it. Also, I see we have 2 speed limits on Main Street, one on one south side and one on the north side. That needs to be corrected. It's a speed trap, in my opinion. I spent, like, say, 5 years in the reserves, and I noticed things like that. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hood, same question.
I would like to see communication better in the ward. Sometimes people don't call you and ask questions if they think your mind is already made up. So I would like to see better communications in the ward. I would also like to try to figure out why we are not getting businesses out on the highway and what the issue is as to, we had one that wanted to go out on the highway, but for some reason they decided not to. So I'd like to find out what the issue is there and actually try to bring businesses to the highway out by Ivy Tech.
Thank you. Michelle Dials will ask the next question, and it will be directed to Mr. Bentley.
The City Council holds committee meetings to discuss items before they're placed on the agenda for the regular monthly City Council meetings. This often means there's little discussion during the regular meeting before a vote is taken. This can lead to a perception that things are being rubber stamped or that the council already has the votes it needs before the meeting takes place. What steps can be taken to assure the public that their input is valued?
Well, like most thing is communications. If you get out and talk to the people and find out their feelings and see where they want to go with something or not, rather than just rubber stamp it and say, yeah, I think a lot of it ought to be thought out and looked into before anything's approved.
Mr. Hood, same question.
I likewise think that communication is important because, again, I don't want people to, the people, the citizens of Logansport should have their input into whatever issues there are. That's the reason I want open communication because their input is very important with every decision we make in town.
Mr. Buck.
On the communication side of that, in 3.5 years, I've had about probably less than 25 calls from citizens. I do talk to people wherever I go. The most calls out of that 25 was about 10 for Fairview Park. There was a group wanted to wipe out the park, all except the pavilion and the playground, for another ball diamond. And that would have taken out all the trees, green space, and everything else. And I had people scream. They didn't want to see that park go. It's the only one on the south side. So I have listened to a lot of the citizens that have come to me. I do talk to people wherever I go, and I've had much more contact person to person than I have ever had by call-ins.
Thank you. Misty Nisley will be asking the next question, and it will be directed to Larry Hood.
Over the past couple of years, the structure of our economic development organization has changed in this community. What is your vision, if elected to City Council, as the optimal economic development structure to both retain and enhance our current businesses and to attract new businesses to the community?
Well, I think for starters, we need to have one economic development instead of trying to have multiple ones. I think that kind of sends a bad signal to any business wanting to come into town. So I think we need to work with the county and get together and have one group that both city and county can get along with, in which case I think will help bring businesses to town.
Thank you. Mr. Buck, same question.
The economic development arm of the county exploded, to put it mildly. County pulled out and city was removed. We have started our own economic development arm. because I feel we were forced to. I would have liked to have seen it grow together, but due to egos involved, that didn't happen. We are on a pathway now, and we do have businesses coming. The power plant situation, it looks like it's going to give us approximately 15% rate reduction very soon, and it looks to be a very viable situation to me.
Mr. Bentley, same question.
Well, I think business-wise, maybe we ought to branch out a little bit. Industry is going to pick a major area. We need jobs, there's no doubt about that. I'd say maybe a theme park, we ought to look into that. We've got the area, we've got the land, we've got the water to attract something of that nature. Far as the economic development thing goes, I'm not sure how that works within the city. Like I say, if it's two different type of sections, then they need to get together and take the politics out of it and do what's good for the people.
All right, thank you. Mr. Copy will be asking our next question, and it will be directed to Mr. Buck.
In today's world, individuals can easily log into their bank accounts and check their current balances. Are similar tools available, or what type of research would you do to find out how much money is in the city budget accounts to make sure that the council is making fiscally responsible decisions when it comes to appropriating money?
The budget process is very difficult. It starts with the mayor and the clerk-treasurer. They propose a budget, and that budget is brought to the city council. The city council has to go over it. We have made some cuts in the 2016 budget, and we're allowed to cut it. We're not allowed to increase it. So that's where the watchful eye of the city council is responsible for the cuts and the overall budget. We were able to make several improvements, one for streets and sidewalks. That's almost tripled in the 2016 budget, and that's mainly because we badgered the mayor and told him he needed to raise it up. And he agreed with us prior to the budget being written, and he included that in the budget, and I think that's very beneficial.
Yes, your time is up. Mr. Bentley, same question.
Excuse me. Like I say, I think the clerk-treasurer is responsible for all the monies. Each department has to have a budget. I live on a budget, so does everybody else. So I feel like if we get into a bind to where there's not enough money to keep things going, or not give somebody a raise occasionally, we ought to start making cuts at the top. It's always from the bottom up. I've been there, and I've been on both sides of the fence. And like I say, I feel that if cuts ought to be made, they ought to start at the top and work down.
Thank you. Mr. Hood, same question.
I would, as a councilman, want to try to keep the budget in check. I think we have way too much spending going on right now. I am big in public safety. I think public safety is probably the first thing, both police and fire, that I would try to do all I could to maintain it. But like I said, I think we have too much spending going on. It needs to be controlled.
Okay. Thank you. Michelle Dials will be asking the next question. It will be directed to Mr. Bentley.
There has been ongoing effort to consolidate the city's TIF districts, excluding the downtown redevelopment TIF district. The effort looks to put collections from all economic development TIF districts into one pot of money that could be used outside of the district in which it was collected. How should the city handle TIF districts and their possible consolidation?
I'm sorry, I don't, my hearing aids have a ring to them, so.
Would you like that repeated?
I'm sorry, yes.
There's been ongoing effort to consolidate the city's TIF districts, excluding the downtown redevelopment TIF district. The effort looks to put collections from all economic development TIF districts into one pot of money that could be used outside of the district in which it was collected. How should the city handle TIF districts and their possible consolidation?
That I really couldn't say anything about it because I have no idea how it works or any understanding to it, so I really can't comment on it.
Okay. Mr. Hood, same question.
The TIF district has been, I was brought on the TIF board about 3 years ago. The TIF districts were set up for a reason, and that was to keep the money in that particular area. The TIF district currently is, they're trying to, I think part of the annexation with the south side is to collect money from the TIF district out there and use it towards up at the mall. I am solely against that. I think that money from the TIF district should be used in the industrial parks case at the industrial park. I know right now, I believe there is a spec building they are talking about building out there. I think that's a great thing, but that's part of the reason that you keep the money where it belongs.
And Mr. Buck, it is your turn.
We have worked toward consolidating the TIF districts. Right now, the bid is out for a 50,000 square foot spec building. If we had had that building in place before Cotronics found a home in Peru, we would have saved a company. We've worked with many companies throughout with TIF District and Redevelopment Commission, and the efforts, I believe, have been very fruitful. 5 of the companies that we've worked with, real quick, are Transco, Quality Dye, 81 jobs at Transco, still hiring, 32 jobs at Quality Dye, still hiring. The Mike Anderson dealership was more of a cosmetic issue, but it cleaned up a city block downtown. Mary Max and Dairy Queen are also in place.
Okay, and your time is up. We are now finished with the question and answering segment for Ward 2, and we are ready for closing remarks. Mr. Hood, would you begin?
Yes. If I have the great privilege of being elected to the Logansport City Council, the citizens of Logansport can expect better transparency between myself and my constituents. My vote on any issue will not be made lightly, and I will not expect to hear, and I will expect to hear from the citizens on every decision that is brought up or issue. I believe that a councilman should have good judgment. To me, good judgment is making the right decisions, and that is not making a statement that I would go with the state of emergency to move dirt back and forth from a city project. My name is Larry Hood. I would ask for your vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
Mr. Buck, your closing remarks?
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters, Cass County Chamber of Commerce, Mid-America Radio Corporation, and Ferris Tribune for hosting this event for the benefit of Logansport voters. It has been my pleasure to serve the citizens of Logansport for 3.5 years. With Mayor Franklin and the City Council working together, we have made a difference. Public safety with police and fire equipment, school safety with SROs, Transco Quality Dye Set, Mary Max 5, and Dairy Queen adding to our jobs and quality of life. Power plant will give us a rate break, plus jobs are saved. New spec building out for bid now. Redevelopment Commission will pay for with cash on hand. Streetscapes downtown are nearing completion. I would like to thank everyone for coming out to be informed about our city. I'm Joe Buck, Ward 2, and asking for your votes on November 3rd. Thank you.
Mr. Bentley, your closing remarks.
I'd like to thank everybody for allowing us to have this discussion area and we get out to the public. If I'm elected, you can expect me to be knocking on your door if you live in Ward 2. I'll be asking questions and discussing upcoming things. I look forward to serving the city and the ward, and hope the town grows. That's the main idea.
All right, thank you, and this concludes the part of the program devoted to Ward 2. Thank you, gentlemen. And folks in the audience, we know you're hearing the same questions over, but remember, the candidates in the green room cannot hear them. We did not want the 4th and 5th wards coming out having had all those minutes to already think about the answers. So in the nature of fairness, they are the same questions, but the candidates will not have heard them. All right, opening remarks for Ward 3, and we are looking at Gary Fox and Amy Densborn as the candidates. Mr. Fox, will you begin?
Thank you, Chamber of Commerce and League of Women Voters, for this event. My name is Gary Fox. I'm a lifelong resident of Logansport. I am running for re-election to the Logansport City Council representing Ward 3. I have served for the past 4 years and want to continue working to improve our city. Logansport has given so much to me, to my family, and I want to give back. I am married to my beautiful wife of 24 years, Mary Fox. Together, Mary and I are blessed with 4 children, and we have 12 grandchildren. My parents are Donald and Eldonna Fox, who live in Logansport. I am serving as chair of the Public Works Committee, also on the Logansport Redevelopment Commission for the past 2 years, currently as vice president. Jobs for our community are my #1 priority, and the local government must help develop the economy. Logansport must support law enforcement to be tough on crime. Cooperation between the city and county governments will have to be leveraged, and downtown development must be motivated with less restrictive zoning practices to give businesses the anchor needed to build on. Thank you. My name is Gary Fox.
Mrs. Densborn, your opening remarks.
Good evening. I'm Amy Densborn, your Democratic candidate for Logansport's 3rd Ward. I represent the beautiful downtown Logansport. By day, I'm a science teacher at Lewis Cass Junior Senior High School, focusing in environmental science. My husband is an optometrist who's practiced optometry downtown Logansport for the past 20 years. Together, we have our son Zane, who's a freshman at IUPY. Our daughter Grace is a sophomore at Logansport High School. I'm here tonight running for election for Logansport 3rd Ward because, frankly, enough is enough. Enough of the misuse of power by our elected officials, enough of gambling with taxpayers' money, and sadly enough, we just committed Logansport to a 50-year contract with SG Preston, talks making our fresh waterways and our atmosphere, holding those hostage. So we can do better, we will do better.
Okay, and your time is up. First question will be asked by Mr. Cuppy, and it will be directed to Mr. Fox.
What changes specific to Ward 3 would you like to make in the next 4 years?
What changes I'd like to see happen is well, one of the things I'd like to see, we just passed it at the last council meeting, was an abatement for for the Logan Square building, and it's supposed to add 40 apartments for seniors, 55 and older.
Okay. Mrs. Densborn, same question.
What changes I would like to see for Ward 3, first off, we've got to get our power plant. We've got to get that under control. We've got to find out where we're headed with that and make sure we are environmentally friendly on that issue. Our downtown, we need to bring some revitalization to downtown. We need to get people excited about opening businesses downtown and supporting that area. We need to find some type of festival to draw people into our area and where they will want to spend time and spend money at the local downtown businesses. I think that's our most important things in Ward 3, our power plant and the revitalization of downtown.
Okay. Thank you. Mrs. Giles will be asking the next question, and it will be directed to Mrs. Densborn.
The City Council holds committee meetings to discuss items before they're placed on the agenda for the regular monthly City Council meetings. This often means there's little discussion during regular meetings before the vote is taken. This can lead to a perception that things are being rubber stamped or that the council already has the votes it needs before the meeting takes place. What steps can be taken